What's up, everybody? I hope everybody's having a beautiful weekend. It's a lovely day here in the Bay Area. Today I'm going to be working on my 1990 NA Miata. I got a couple of things that I'm going to show you guys. I haven't given this car a proper introduction yet, but it's a 1990 1.6 Miata. It's bone stock, and I got it for the low, less than 2,000. Gave it a polish. Not much else, honestly. It was full of mold, and you'll see that's why I have the interior completely removed. As you can see, it is completely stripped out and gutted in here, and that's because the dashboard was cracked, the soft top was leaking, draining into the carpet and making it moldy. So I've already done the hardest part, which is removing everything and removing all of the mold from the carpet and the seats, unfortunately, and I've replaced the soft top. I thought I would give the soft top an upgrade and actually use a glass top for an NB, but this is a little bit complicated for a couple of reasons, which I'm going to cover in some upcoming videos. As you can see, it looks pretty good. It's all mounted up, but I do have the two pieces that go on the side not fully installed yet. That is because I found out when you put a glass top on an NA, which they never came with from the factory, to my knowledge, this bow on the roof actually moves not the right way, independently. So as you can see, you've got the first bow, which closes to the front of the windshield frame, second bow, third bow, and the fourth bow. Now this actually moves on its own. These all move in unison because the frame is made in such a way that they fold only when the first bow moves back. But this one can move separately. On an NB, there's a spring that actually helps this thing move forward and back. And when you put a glass top on, this thing won't move forward when you put the top down, and it won't move back when you put the top up, which is what you need. So, to make a long fucking story short,
I put a whole bag of jelly beans up my ass.
I'm waiting on two elastic straps that is supposed to come with the soft top. They normally come with a soft top, but it didn't come with mine, and you just can't order it separately, so that's the issue. If you have an NB, this doesn't matter. And if you have a plastic window and you're putting it in an NA, this also doesn't matter. And the only place I could manage to find that thing was in a shop from Australia. So I'll be covering that in an upcoming episode. As you can see, it is completely stuck in here. Now, unfortunately, my water pump started leaking just after getting the soft top on the car. So on my first test drive, I had to pull over and come home. So my car is out of commission and I'm not driving it at the moment, but it gives me a perfect opportunity to work on my dashboard, which I've been repairing. Getting the dashboard out of the car was a little bit of a struggle, but the Miata is a pretty simple vehicle. There were holes in the dash where somebody had actually used self-tapping screws to install a phone mount, believe it or not. Brother, and it began to crack right here and here. So I've gone ahead and used some JB Weld to actually fill these cracks, and I used a little bit of body filler to smooth it out. I'm going to hit it with some adhesion promoter and primer and continue getting this thing all even, and then I'm gonna re-dye it with some texture, which I will explain. On this section of the dashboard, there was actually a USB 12-volt outlet installed, and there were entire holes in the dashboard. So I used a soldering iron to melt some zip ties to fill the holes, and then I primered it, but it wasn't very smooth. So I'm just going to add some body filler to it after sanding it down, and I think it will come out good enough. Once I add some texture back onto it, I think it'll look fine. I'm using regular old body filler. I used it recently, so it shouldn't be too nasty inside here. Let's have a look. Always give your body filler a stir before you use it. It has, I guess, resin in it that needs to be incorporated in for it to harden correctly. It's really simple. You just take about this much hardener, add it to your body filler, and then you mix it up. I like to put a little piece of tape on my spreader so I don't have to clean it each time. I just peel the tape off. Gotta work quickly because it's a little bit of a warm day, but I'm just gonna take a little bit add it to all of my holes, and I'll smooth this out in just a moment.
Look at the flicker there is.
Sometimes I'll actually use a razor blade to try to get it as flat as possible. I have a tendency to overdo things, so I'm gonna leave it like that, let it dry, and then I'll sand it some more. I mean, I'm bondoing my dashboard. I am overdoing things. While I'm waiting for my body filler to harden, might as well hit the top of the dashboard with some primer. Just another trick I'm gonna share with you guys. Before you paint, you wanna make sure the can is warm. So just run it under hot water. Don't use a flame. Just make sure you dry your can off completely. I'm using one hand, so you're gonna have to believe me that I actually do it properly. You don't want a drip of water landing in your paint and ruining your new paint job. Actually, you know what? There's so much surface I have to cover. I'm just gonna start priming the rest of the dashboard and give that about 30 minutes to actually harden so I can begin sanding that. I didn't show it on screen, but I did scuff everything with the red Scotch-Brite, and I got everywhere. I blew out all the little dust and fuzzies from all the little cracks, and I've taken all these little trim pieces out. This is really important if you want it to come out looking correctly. And I drilled out the rivets that hold on the VIN tag. I have a rivet gun. I will put it back when I'm done. Also, invest in a respirator. It's worth it. Unless you smoke, you're already fucked, I guess. Should have thought about the size of the dashboard that I'm working with, and I had one can of primer, so I ran out. So we are gonna go on a shopping run. I want sandable filler primer. Rust-Oleum, sponsor me, please. I don't like paying 30 bucks for 2 cans of paint, but you know what? You gotta do what you gotta do. Back at the house, back at it. I totally forgot that I bought this to use. Too late now, whatever. Gonna check on the body filler and then do some more priming after that. This is looking pretty good now. I'm just gonna sand it with some 400 because I don't want to go too hard on this. See how it comes out. This is what it's looking like now. I feather edged it with 400 and got it feeling very smooth and flat. So I'm gonna leave it. I don't want to just continue doing and redoing and overdoing this, because at the end of the day, this is next to your knee. Like, you're really not gonna be looking at this. So I'm gonna move on to finishing the primer and then putting the dye on. Doing business. While I'm waiting for the primer to dry, I thought I would share you guys this crazy story, I guess. Here's my 4AG out of my MR2, right? I've got this MR2. It's a 1985. It's really hard to find parts for it, and I've been looking for a front lip for as long as I've had the car, which has been like 4 years at this point. And there I am browsing Facebook groups. Some guy in the UK has a front lip. I hit him up. I said, you know, would you sell it to me for like $100 shipped? He said, I'll send it to you, just pay the shipping. Now, I wasn't completely sure if he was serious or not, and it needs paint, so it's pretty bad. But he really did send it to me, and I paid him about, 25 bucks for the shipping. Here it is. Just last night, I came home from work and found it next to the door. He literally wrapped it in paper. It's not like he put it in a box. That's why it ended up being so cheap. But I'm about to unbox this and see if it's any good or not. I'm telling you, I looked Facebook Marketplace locally, I looked on eBay, I looked on Yahoo Auctions Japan. I couldn't even find them for sale. I mean, there are aftermarket options that are like $300, and then you have to pay for shipping. On the wood sport front lip, buy brand new, but then you have to pay for the shipping from the UK. But here it is. It needs paint. Some of the holes are damaged, but it's a lip. It's a lip, man. God, what a guy, man. Big ups to Jason in the UK, man. Crazy, bro. Oh, what a homie. Here's my MR2. I previously got these side skirts from Japan, but I actually never test fit them. One license plate bolt is just sounding so horrible. Joy of working on old cars. Oh, delicious. Just like that, a quick test fit turns into this. Shit up, boys. Raw. It's obviously not sitting even halfway right, because the 85 front end is quite different. You can see, I think the way it's supposed to go is this upper flange like hugs the bumper, but I have this grill in that's not going to allow me to do that. And maybe if I take it out, it will fit in there, but I don't see how this part is going to mate up with the bumper very nicely, so I will have to trim it. Just take a look at how much more of an aggressive look it gives the car. The lip sticks out pretty far. It's just the OEM lip too. I will repaint it, and I will be repainting the car as well, because as you can see, it was repainted very badly. It was white, and it is red now, and I think I'm going to go back to white. But this excites me so much, looking at the front lip and the side skirts on the car, finally, after having this car for almost 4 years now. I don't know, it already looks like an 80s car, but just having such angular side skirts makes it look even more 80s. They go together really well. The line follows nicely. If you can just imagine painted and everything, like the line will follow nicely. Having this car lowered and on wheels, it should be sick. I have been feeling so shitty about neglecting this car for so long. Night MR2. Okay, that's enough distractions. Let's get back to this. This is the textured finish that I'm going to use. That's mailbox paint, but this is what I've heard from other people works well. You can see it's got a similar texture to leather. That's interesting. I wonder if it's the spray nozzle, the paint itself. Yeah, I'll be happy with that. The other thing I haven't mentioned yet is I have this entire box of interior panels that are so sun faded. I'm gonna have to do the same thing with all of them, so it will take me quite a while to go through all of the panels and do everything. I forgot to explain what I was doing there, but I just scuffed down the whole dashboard. It didn't look that even, so I scuffed it, and I did find a couple places I didn't quite put enough primer. I'm gonna wipe it down with alcohol, let it evaporate, and then add a little bit more primer. Once that's done, then I'll hit it with the hammer paint. Just another DIY hack for you. I like to use the sriracha bottle for isopropyl alcohol, because the alcohol bottles always have that stupid cap that's really annoying. Sometimes it breaks, and you can't adjust like how much you get out. This one is nice, and it's free, which is the best. All right, I'm finally happy with how it's looking now, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with a textured paint now. Bruh, look at all these moths that are attracted to my light right here. It says to do 2 or more medium coats. It's gonna be a little bit of bombing it. Well, guys, I think I sent her a little too fucking hard. Definition of moderate was a little bit more heavy than theirs. I got a couple runs, like here's a run. I thought maybe it's like wrinkle paint where you just lay it on extremely heavy. I do like the paint. I think it just takes some practice. I probably should have done some trim before doing my dashboard, but it does look like leather though. I think this is the right product, I'm just not using it correctly. You really can't tell where the holes are anymore, so that much I did pretty well. I'd say 8 out of 10. I mean, if you look really closely, this one, I really can't find it. This one I can kind of tell. So unfortunately, there's quite a few areas that have runs or are just looking too wet. So I'm gonna let it dry overnight, sand it in those areas, and then do a second coat, not quite so wet. All right, guys, honestly, it has been like 3 weeks and I haven't been able to get exactly where I wanted to be with this dashboard, but I'm finally here on a sunny day when I have a moment to put a final layer of paint on it. So to recap, this guy is done, and I'm gonna bring some of the shine down by using this ultra matte paint. It's not completely dry yet, but it looks way more uniform than it did before. All right, so I'm back home after work and checking it out. I mean, it looks pretty fresh.
Too handsome.
Not the way I thought it was gonna go, but it's the way it ended up going. I can't even lie, I had to redo this thing about 3 or 4 times. I actually put an extra coat or 2 of paint on there, probably 2 or 3 more times, sanding it down just because I wasn't happy with the way it looked. But here it is, all done. I think it did end up coming out really nice. I'm really happy that I went ahead and tackled this project. It was something I've never done before. I wasn't sure how it was gonna come out. And I would say, you know, you can tell if you're looking, but I'll give this an 8 or 9 out of 10. Maybe 8 out of 10. These became a little bit visible probably because I ended up sanding in the end. But you know what? From this sort of distance, you would never notice, and it looks pretty great. With that being said, if you guys liked the video, I'd appreciate it if you could drop a like, hit subscribe. I will be putting out more videos pretty much on like a bi-weekly cadence, covering anything with my Miatas and everything else that might come up along the way. You guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.